You just want to rip and roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Matt. Maybe I need to.
Yeah.
Nice.
Woo! Nap the podcast. We're back. Match week 2 is in the books. It is
Dead.
Michael.
Dead. Killed it.
Okay, cool. Definitely editing that out. That was weird.
Which is
What? I killed a gnat. I just talked about it.
The derailment is.
I feel like John was on a real good roll right there.
Yeah,
he
that's
fucked
just
up the
tough.
he fucked up the first word of the podcast. I get to have that.
All right, well
take 3.
this is the cold open.
The NAFTA podcast.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Math podcast, we're back. Match week 2 is in the books. We got Michael, we got Dylan, we got myself. Nick is working. Nick will be back soon. Good thing Nick's not here. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Manchester United, or the team that used to be called Manchester United. It was a full match week, and it actually wasn't. There was a game that wasn't played. I'm totally flustered by the gnat killing earlier, obviously. But guys, how was it? Since Michael derailed me, Dylan, how was your weekend? How was watching Wolves? I know it wasn't a win, but how'd it go?
We scored a goal, so
There you go.
I'm only gonna talk about the positives. We scored a goal. The game was, I guess, a good thing because I went to the beach 20 minutes earlier than I expected to, so that was nice. But outside of that, the rest of the soccer that I watched this weekend was much better for me.
I feel like you're in a good place of, like, expectations are pretty low. I think if we get to the middle of the season and things aren't ramping up, we're going to see a different side of Dylan. But for right now, I like Mr. Brightside.
I mean, big 6 point game next week. So
yeah,
calling that a 6-point game in week 3.
We'll get to that in a bit for sure. Michael, how was the weekend?
It was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I got to watch like pretty much every game I wanted. There are a lot of positives. I had the best record this week, which was nice. Doesn't happen very often. And then in terms of a Liverpool fan, what a week. Couldn't have went any better.
Very true. Liverpool with a big dub again. We'll probably get to that here in a second. But first, Michael, you posed a pretty good question. And by pretty good, I think it was like we're grasping at straws as to what to have the opening segment be. You're like, who's your top 3 favorite players to watch 2 games into the season? I want to get the impetus of this. Why were you thinking about that?
Because I was watching all the games, and I was just I found myself going, wow, he looks great right now. Like he's awesome, And I was just like,
who are you talking about?
Well, I'll tell you. Want me to go in order?
Yeah, lead us off then.
1?
Yeah, lead us off then.
Number 3.
You go. We'll go carousel. Let's do carousel.
Oh, okay. So you want me to do all 3 or just the third one?
No, just one. Then I'll do one. Then Dylan will do one.
Okay.
Then you'll do one. Then I'll do one. Yeah.
Yes, got it. First one, Matoma. That is really that whole Brighton team, but he is just like
You
thought maybe he would.
Watch.
Sorry, but you thought maybe he would just, have that moment last season and kind of like come back down to earth a little bit. Yeah. I don't think De Zerbi plays to one player in particular at all. I think that whole team is just like whoever scores, that's who we care about. But like his movement, his like driving with the ball, everything he does is pretty unreal.
I don't disagree. I really like watching Matoma for sure. Mine's going to be a little bit different. They're on the drawing side and losing side already this season. But just watching those last 10 minutes of that Arsenal Palace game or so, 20 minutes maybe, I think Jefferson Lerma is going to be pretty good for them. He was cleaning up a lot of loose balls. He was making sure they were staying on the attack. I don't think anyone else was going to have him. So I was like, let me take my shot now and pick Jefferson Lerma. Someone that, Michael, you and I have talked about with our good friend Craig of Bournemouth fame prior to this. But Jefferson Lerma was my guy. Dylan?
I'm going to go off of someone who's keeping my fantasy league team alive that I've enjoyed watching. If you probably can guess where I'm going with that Ivan joke of Yona Wissa. I think watching Brentford and letting him have his time to shine and cook has been a lot of fun, and it's just nice to watch a team that can put the ball in the back of the net. So I very much enjoy watching Brentford and what they can do up top.
Yeah, big brains only on this podcast. John Whitaker pointing out that Wissa and Mbeumo being able to score goals now that Tony's out and being like, hey, the running back's getting injured now, this guy will get minutes, was maybe one of the most duh comments ever, and I think Michael put me in my place right away. Michael, who's your number 2 guy?
Number 2 is just, I'm going to pat myself on the back here, is just Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
He is the most, how we were talking with our friend Jay from the Liverpool podcast. I know we're doing a lot of plugging here. How Mane used to just like kind of strike a little bit of fear into the hearts of defenders when he had the ball on the wing. I think Luis Diaz does that, and I think Luis Diaz has a little bit more technical ability and know-how when he's doing stuff. I think it's even better.
Speaking of a guy who's helping out my fantasy team, Luis Diaz for sure. I'll go another weird one here. I watched the Villa-Everton game. People thought this man was dead. He's a reggae boy. Leon Bailey just beat the brakes off of Everton this past weekend. And I think when they initially signed him, how many ever years ago, they thought this was the guy they were getting. And he's performed really well last game, decently the game before. So shout out to Leon Bailey. Shout out to Jamaica. Hope to go soon. That'd be a great spot.
When you said you watched that game, I thought you were going to say Neil Mopé because he's been electric.
He's great.
I thought I thought you were like, I'm going to go real outside the box there.
No.
I think I'm going to get hate for this one. There's one I think I'm going to steal from John, so I'm going to save it for him, and if he doesn't, I'll take it my third. But Nicholas Jackson, he hasn't done much, but I don't know if this is because he's just really fast, but he's fast and he's always making these runs, and I think he's the new Timo Werner, and I very much like it. So, for me, I just find it extremely entertaining because he seems to be trying to be in the right spot, and it just looks really graceful, and it's probably a big dumb brain decision, but I don't know. I've enjoyed actually watching him play when I've watched Chelsea.
And anyone listening to this podcast who has over under 1.5 positive things to say about Chelsea is going to be clenching their seat for the rest of this because I don't know if it's coming. I like that one, though. Michael, last one.
All right. The person who prompted this text to you guys to do this segment, Yes Basuma.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Absolutely unforgivable that he was not playing at Spurs like the entirety of last year. And I don't know if this is like a truly like his talent. I think it's probably a little bit of both. He fucking walked through United's defense so many times. Just dribbled through them, got stuff going. He was unbelievable. It was between him and Sarr. Him and Sarr were like absolutely crushed the entire United midfield and defense. But sometimes I was watching Basuma and I was like, God, this shit is so easy for him. It's unreal.
Yeah, United down bad, tremendous, as we're going to talk about here in a second. Dylan, the guy you held off on, is he a City guy?
Yeah.
All right, I might actually take this then. I'm saying Julian Alvarez.
Not the same person.
Oh, nice. All right, 2 City guys making the appearance. I love watching him. I think he's in an amazing position because Haaland's going to take the entire spotlight. But on top of that, I don't think he cares. I don't think he really, at this point in his career, wants to be the man. But the goal he had was sick. He plays really well. He passes really well. He actually holds the ball up really well. Really like
good.
Watching him. And every time he does well, I get to reach out to Aldo Ramiro and my friend who lives down in Florida and is Argentinian. And we just talk about how sick Julian Alvarez is. So, third guy there.
I had a real homer pick before I decided to do City, but I figured there's no one else but me who would watch the Wolves, so I'm not going to actually say that person. So, this is probably a no duh. I think Phil Foden's a lot of fun to watch, especially with De Bruyne out. There's a lot more opportunity for him to cook, and I don't know, especially against. We'll probably get into when we talk about the Newcastle game, but he was everywhere over the pitch. So if I'm gonna have to watch the City games because they're always on TV, and this is probably a backhand compliment, the rest of your team bores the shit out of me, John. But I like watching Phil Foden.
I'm not gonna lie, that's been the narrative on social media this entire week. I'll take it. That's totally fine. We'll be boring. Keep winning. Foden was incredible this past game. I'm gonna give my honorable mention early, just so Michael doesn't take it. If you're watching games and you don't think Estupinian is amazing, you're not watching the right games.
Yeah, when he got that assist on Matoma's goal, because he definitely did a lot to get that assist.
But he does. He plays really well. He
is
team out too.
Absolutely, he's probably one of the best wingbacks. It's funny because that Brighton midfield is so outrageously good, and they just sold their 2 midfielders, and then additionally they sold Cucurella, and they just have a better wingback as well.
Better team, just a better team. Did
Overall,
you have an honorable mention?
No, I stuck to the script. I got 3.
Love it, Dylan. Honorable mention. Give us your Wolves guy. You got to. Yeah.
I was gonna say my honorable mention would be Diego Jota because I just miss watching someone that could have produced on the Wolves.
True.
And I figure if I give City love, I'll give Liverpool love.
Thank you.
He only played for just about 60 minutes. I'm actually really excited for Fabio Silva. He was in all the right places. He still can't shoot, unfortunately, because that's just what happens on the Wolves. But he had a one-on-one with the goalie and could have made it a completely different game. But I think he's grown up a little bit, and I'm hoping over time it turns into something fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Since we did, and I know we're plugging everything on this podcast so far, but since we talked to Alex and did that pod, I actually feel even more invested. Sorry, Dylan, I should have been even more invested since you started on the pod being with Wolves, but now I'm I got 2 people that can give me Wolves insights. So I gotta pay attention at least a little bit. Like I said, somewhat crazy week. There's a couple of results in here that we definitely want to talk about. I told everyone on the pod I got 3 hot takes. I'm going to go through all of them when we talk about each of these games, and I don't even know how hot they really are. It was just more frustrating takes. But let's get started. The 2 games we're going to spend more time on, obviously Man City, Newcastle, that was our game of the week, and then we'll also talk West Ham, United, and Chelsea. Let's do Nottingham Forest, Sheffield, 2-1 Nottingham Forest. No one said Awani is kind of beyond me. He's playing really, really well too. He had a goal in the 3rd minute. Hammer got it back for Sheffield United in the 48th, and then Wood with an 89th minute winner for Forest. Fulham 0, Brentford 3. I think we're finally going to start seeing bad Fulham come into form. As Dylan mentioned, Wissa and Embuemo with a brace for Brentford. All 3 goals there, all 3 points as well. Liverpool and Bournemouth 3-1. Liverpool with the dub. Semenyo, damn, I doubt I got that right, but he opened the scoring for Bournemouth in the 3rd minute. They looked real dangerous at the front. And then Luis Diaz, Mo Salah, and Diego Jota with the 3 goals for Liverpool. All 3 points there as well. Wolves and Brighton. Wolves go down 1-4. 4-1 win by Brighton. Dylan takes his headphones out for this one. Love it. Matoma with a goal. Estupinian, as mentioned before, a goal in the 46th. Solly March in the 51st. And then also in the 55th. But Hwang with the lone goal for Wolves to get one back in the 61st. Tottenham 2, United 0. I probably should actually spend a little time on this one too, but Sarr with the goal in the 49th, and then an own goal by what did Nick call him? Liche?
Yeah.
Liche Martinez?
Something like that. Hold on.
The 83rd, just a comedy of errors for that one. All 3 points going to Spurs. Villa 4, Everton 0. Villa look good. I know they got their breaks blown off the week before, but they look really, really good against Everton. Everton probably not very good. McGinn in the 18th, Louise in the 24th, Leon Bailey in the 51st, and then Duran with his first goal for Villa in the 75th. And then the game that happened today, Monday, August 21st, Palace 0, Arsenal won all 3 points to the Gooners in a game that there's going to be some controversial calls that I'm sure Michael's going to bring up, but Odegaard with the lone goal, it was a pen in the 53rd. Where do you guys want to start? We can go back to the beginning. For Sheffield, nothing?
I think Forest were... I think we are absolutely dead on. Luton Town and Sheffield United are the 2 worst teams in this league.
Yeah, for sure. Any rebut on that, Dylan?
Nope, just got to beat one more.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta be.
Just don't be last.
Don't gotta be the fastest. Just can't be the third slowest. Fulham and Brentford. We talked about this at length in our opening. Dylan, I actually think you might be the biggest advocate for this. Fulham not as good as they were last year. I don't know if they're bad, not as good as they were last year.
I just want to say I've been saying this since we've done our preview episode. I think Palhinha is extremely important to that team, and until he comes back, I think they're a shell of themselves. I saw they might be selling someone else potentially too. I gotta look for it is, but a defender that's not American. And sorry, that gives you 50% of them. But ultimately, Brentford plays the style that we expected them to, and they're similar. They're just a little bit behind in terms of the talent of what they have for where Brighton is, but you know what they're going to get. They know what they need to do, and they're playing to it compared to Fulham. I think I may have said this in preview episode, and again, directionally accurate because I don't have the stat in front of me, but their XG last year was something of 0.95 or something like that, but then they scored 2x more than what they're supposed to. So the goals were going to stop coming at some point anyway. And Mitrovic is officially, I think, getting sold at this point.
He's gone.
I don't know. I think Fulham is in a race with us and Everton for that 18th spot.
Yeah, I think that we should have taken your word for it the first time you said it, because no one else has watched more Raul Jimenez minutes than you, and that's the guy on the starting line now. Michael, anything to add for that one?
I think Brentford are those teams that kind of finish in that pseudo-Europe, just around 10 spot. I think they've all improved. I think Brentford has got, even losing Tony, I think they're just so well drilled and they know exactly what they want to do, like Dylan said. And I think exactly right, Fulham, they still don't have Palhinha back. They lost Mitrovic, who was, even go back to the championship, it was 90% of their goals. He was involved in some way. I think they're going to really struggle.
Yeah, totally agree. Impressive. We already mentioned this in this episode, but Wilson and Buemo, very impressive, them stepping up and stepping in. Before we go to some games I know we're going to have more on, Villa 4-0 over Everton. A Hank check? Anything from him?
So, he did this to himself. After the Wolves lost 4-1, he FaceTimed me and asked what's going on. And I was like, hey, man, you play tomorrow against a team that got its ass kicked that's probably going to be angry in front of their home fans. I don't think you want to be making these acquisitions. And then when I FaceTimed him when it was just 2-0 and looked like it was going to be 4-0, he didn't answer. So he did send me a funny video of someone impersonating Deitch in his press conference, basically saying how everything's still okay. But them lose, my only thing for Everton was they needed a striker to probably actually score some goals, and the fact that, again, they lost said striker in the first 5 minutes of him playing puts Everton right back to where they are. And at this point, I think Michael's very close. He's probably as close as he's ever been to finally getting his wish to come true.
Yeah, I do want to say DCL going down is tough. Game next week for you and them at Molineux? No, away? Maybe even better. Maybe it'd be better to get the away one out of the way when they're injured, because, again, I think it is going to be a pretty big game. I'll say this. I know we're pretty high on Villa. I'll be more interested to see what they do midweek in Europe than this one, I think.
Got Hibernian.
Yeah, Hibs. They got to beat Hibs.
They'll beat Hibs.
Palace Arsenal. Michael, give us your VAR rant of the week.
Okay, and we can couple this VAR rant with United and Spurs, and you guys can talk about either one.
Okay.
the rule. So Tomiyasu, second yellow for a red to get that red card, not reviewable because it's a second yellow, not a straight red. Stupid, really dumb. Not a yellow card.
I think they put. Hold on, I think they do put that in place so that you're not reviewing every yellow card.
But I don't care because we don't get anything right when we review it anyway.
Yeah, true. All right.
Okay.
Proceed.
Next thing, clearly trying to. I think there's some conversation in my. I'll do what Dylan does, tinfoil hat, in my ear as the ref that we can't review that. It wasn't a yellow card. Shouldn't have been a red. So let's not give Eberich Eze this penalty that he clearly fucking gets. And for somebody who got a penalty that maybe they should not have gotten this week from Soboslai in our game, it's 100% a penalty. I've seen it 1,000 times, and for them to sit there and go, we're checking it, and the guy's going, who he was a former Palace player, I don't remember who it was, doing the commentary, but he's like, I mean, it's a penalty, and he wasn't like a homer or anything. He was like, it's a penalty, 100%, and they're like, well, it's not a penalty, and he goes, that's crazy, because people who have watched the game as much as people like us or people who have played it, they see that happen, and it's a penalty every time. And then the icing on the cake is Thomas Partey does the yellow card thing, which automatically gets you a yellow card. When you gesture for a card, everybody gets a yellow card, and he doesn't get one.
Yeah. I will say I've seen Riyad Mahrez draw that penalty more than any other player in the Premier League, and I think it is a penalty. It's soft. I don't, it is, but it's a penalty. 1,000%.
He doesn't touch the ball, and he swipes at Eze's leg, regardless of how hard he could fucking kick him out of the stadium. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You didn't
Dylan,
get the ball.
Any thoughts? I know you were watching this with us too.
No, I agree with everything Michael's saying. I also, this was a little soft after watching it, but I also thought that like Declan Rice threw him to the ground a little bit towards the end too. But I may have that was the part where it's kind of meh. But like you could have probably thrown that into the argument.
True. Also, most sports take here ever. Past 2 years, Palace down 3-0 to Arsenal at Selhurst Park. Both times they've looked incredible. I thought they look good. But, no points whatsoever for it.
Well, and that's the thing, because you see the performance that they had, and you think, they deserve something from it.
Yeah.
They don't get anything.
For sure. Let's transition into a team that definitely doesn't deserve anything. But we're going to talk about the one call. We're talking about VAR. You want to talk about the penalty for Tottenham, correct?
It would have been for United, but it was on Romero.
Yeah.
Again, last week, I forget ours because it's not very similar, like the way the hand is. Think about Lewis Dunk, his penalty. Mm-hmm. Same thing, same motion that he had his arm up here. Ball goes into it. They're saying it's too close for him to reasonably get his arm out of the way. And my thing is, why the fuck is his arm up there anyway? It's an unnatural position.
Did you guys watch the Women's World Cup final?
Yeah.
No.
Parts of it.
Because, the end, did you watch the second half at least, John?
Yeah, that's what I ended up watching.
Me too, only because I didn't wake up till 7. But
exactly.
But we texted it, but I said it before Nick decided to go look on Twitter to see that other people had the same opinion. The same exact play happened in the Women's World Cup, and they actually got it right and called it a handball. So, at this point, literally, the Women's World Cup, by the way, American ref, so that's how you know, she knew what she was doing. They actually got the call right for, honestly, the exact same play with the hand and body motion similarly out. And and they also announce it, by the way. It's like the NFL, they announce it, which is way better than what we're dealing with currently, too.
1,000%. Do we just need to be the pod that is putting forth the theory American refs know handball better because most of our sports have to do with hands?
Sure.
I think that's our contribution to the sport.
Also, the other thing, too, though, is I've said it for however many seasons we've been doing this and how many seasons VAR has been included. The clear and obvious thing is so fucking stupid. I'm so sick and tired of it. The only the only reason that exists, in my opinion, and I think this is true, and you could tell me whatever you want, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna deny it till the end. The reason I think that exists is because the refs on the field, they love being the guy in the middle, they love being the head ref. They don't want their decisions to be like micromanaged and analyzed constantly by the guys who has fucking 20 TVs in front of him at every angle possible telling him, hey, actually, this is a bad call. You know, because I have eyes everywhere, and you have one set that you got to see it for a fucking instant. It's not a call. We're protecting the pride of these stupid fucking refs who can't get anything fucking right. And that's the only reason that phrase exists. And if we just re-refereed it and focused on getting the call correct, regardless of what the on-field call was, it would be infinitely better immediately.
I think it's to the point where, though, I can live with human error if we just said VAR doesn't exist. So either you have VAR
Absolutely.
and use it, or just say, fine, we're not using it. But if the ref misses it, it's like, all right, like I could see how that could happen. So it's either you need to go on one extreme or the other, but don't live in the middle ground and then just don't actually do what's written in the rule book.
And I know, John, you're going to clip this, and I want to make it clear. I'm not even complaining about the Liverpool game. I'm complaining on behalf of Manchester United in one instance, and I guess Crystal Palace in the other, but still.
Yeah. However, I do want to call out that Rebecca Lowe called Bruno Fernandes a little bit of a whiner way too much and to not complain about it. So I appreciate her standing up for the little guys and saying we should complain and get an apology when the Wolves deserve it and when probably Crystal Palace deserves it. But if you're United, you should sit down and mind your business.
Just take it.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just going to say, if we want to talk about that too, like talk about loving delusion so much, like that's why I do love Bruno Fernandes, because he is truly delusional.
Yeah. Also, first hot take of John's 3 hot takes, and I might be delusional, but
Go, I got it. Number 1.
10 years. They're 10 years away from competing truly for a Premier League title. This Manchester United team is a mess.
I think the 10 years should be more as long as the Glazers are in charge. Which could be 10 years of them just flirting to say they're going to sell it at this point.
There's never been a bet, Dylan, that you and I have put together that just paid off so much quicker than we thought it was than Arsenal getting more points than United over a 3 to 5 year span.
Visionaries. Seeing the whole board.
Absolutely. I added it just in case they compete this year. It's on your hot take tracker.
That's fine. Throw it on there.
Just in case we do this for 11 years and we can actually come back to it.
Yeah, this team stinks. It's crazy to put Rashford up top when he was so good on the wing. Garnacho, whatever. I have no idea. Anthony, again.
There's no H in there.
Oh, I said Anthony.
Did you?
I'll clip it. I don't even have to say anything about him. United fans are going to say what they need to say about him. Casemiro doesn't look very good right now. And the fact that you're spending money and it's going to Mason Mount, like, are all of the good scouts, and I'm going to get to this later about another team, but are all the good scouts in world soccer at City or at Newcastle?
Brighton.
Or
dude,
Brighton.
come on. Or Brentford.
Yeah,
Brighton have the best scouts.
Brentford.
Are you kidding me?
True. Sorry. Didn't mean to pat myself
They're
on the
just
back too
not.
hard there,
They're
guys.
just not at 2 other places.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me. So that's my first hot take. United's, if the Glazers are still there, the caveat, if the Glazers are still there, you're 10 years away. And Eric Ten Hag's not it. Just isn't.
Wow, that's honestly a hotter take.
I think it's he keeps running back because this was going to go into your view. He keeps running back the exact same thing over and over again. And, like, it worked last year. And at a certain point, you have to do a simple, like, wrinkle, I think, here or there. But my thing is, it might be a one-trick pony type of thing. And I just get ready because I'm going to butcher it. But
Postecoglou.
Thank you. Postecoglou is this year's Ten Hag in terms of he's doing the unapologetic. He's going to play how he wants to play and putting the right people out there. And I think that's great for Spurs, but then it could go stale next year. And I think it's just we're watching it since we have Joaquin saying that they're the same club.
Real quick, Michael, before you go, I will say this, though, like, United lost to a Spurs team with a brand new coach, Richarlison starting at striker, and Harry Kane not on the team. 2-0.
Their midfield just really bad.
It shouldn't be, one.
It shouldn't be, but it is right now.
Because all I heard last year was how Casemiro walks into every single team, CDM, he's the best in the world, blah, 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 blah. And Fernandes, for all his downside, is one of the best cams in the world. The thing is, if I can watch 2 YouTube videos about how to press Manchester United, and when you watch their game, they literally fall into it every single time because they have by Nick's words, the best defensive right back in the world, but he can't fucking play a pass to save his life. They play Nottingham Forest next week. That's not going to be easy.
It's not. But also it's funny because I just watched a team that pressed the hell out of them in week 1 get pressed to no other against Brighton and didn't know how to pass out of it whatsoever. So and like got put 4 goals up. So like if you're the better team with the better talent, how do you not at least change up your game plan and be like, we have a team that can't play on the ball, even though it looked like we could on week 1. It was more because it was wide open for us to drive. But like passing out of the back, we looked terrible. And there's no halftime adjustment to try and change it up on his side there. I don't know. I just find that part wild.
And all that distribution from Onana doesn't mean shit when it keeps going to the right back.
Yeah, absolutely. I will stick by it right now. I think Ten Hag's not it. It just isn't. Look, we'll talk about Brighton now. We'll make this quick because it doesn't need to be belabored. 4-1 over Wolves. What are your positives you're taking out of this one, Dylan? Let's do a Wolves corner here.
We had 7 minutes of bad soccer. Unfortunately, those 7 minutes of bad soccer led to 4 goals, and the 3-minute span was really bad. But there were positives to still take out of it, if you want to say. However, right before we scored, I wish I could somehow clip this, and I got to see if it's in the extended highlights because I'll send it to you guys. We headed the ball into the post 3 times. You could have had the circus music going on while it was happening. And I literally sat there on the couch and started laughing. And then, of course, we got a corner and scored right afterwards. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the positive. That goal was all the momentum we needed to see it go in. I thought a previous goal that was called offsides by Fabio was the one we needed to see go into net, but I think we needed it to be in real life, in real time to happen. Other than that, I don't have many other positives. We play Everton next week. That's a positive. Matheus Nunes maybe made the dumbest 94th minute down 4-1, frustrated, red card ever. And I don't know, Brighton just scores 4 to 5 goals on us now every other game. So it's just something to look out for. Well, yeah, and if you want to go on the Brighton side, like, we think about 2 years ago when they had every XG in the world and couldn't score. I also keep telling myself maybe we'll be like them because we have all this XG and we can't score. So just watch out from 2 years from now if we stay up. But they have people who can score now to where 3 or 4 goals, especially against teams that aren't in the top 6, should be happening all the time.
Yeah. First off, I think that they're insanely legit. They're insanely deep. I think the Europa League is going to be for a while, it's going to be a cakewalk for them. Let's just go back to their first game. Goal scorers: Ferguson, Adingra, Pedro, March. This week, it was Solly March again with 2, but then Estupiñán, Matoma. What is that? 6 different goal scorers?
5.
Just in the 5 different goal scorers in the first 2 weeks. They had 43 total shots, 20 on target in the 2 weeks.
They're good. De Zerbi's good.
That's absurd.
So, do you think De Zerbi, because I heard this on the podcast, I think the 2 Robbies were talking about it, maybe it was on the after show or whatever, they were talking about if he would leave, but do you think he falls into the same Graham Potter trap where he needs to stay at Brighton? Or, what's the difference in terms of, let's say he made a jump because, I don't know, Ten Hag gets fired and United need someone.
I think it's kind of one of those things. At some point, the return on investment of like what club you're at has to be minimal. Where it's like, why not be at Brighton? Yeah, why not be at Brighton? Why not keep your scouts for as long as you can? Why not keep doing what you're doing? And at some point, you're going to get to play Champions League because I think you're probably going to win the Europa League this year. Like that's very doable. I don't know. Like
Very much so.
I could also see them in the top. I mean, dude,
I think they could be top 4.
Yeah. We also, again, we'll always bring this up. Southampton to win the league 3 years ago. Look, I just think they're a very, very good team. And if you take anything out of this conversation about Brighton, just know that Solly March's real name is Solomon. And I had no clue. And that just gives me some different type of respect for that guy.
Soleil.
Michael. Oh, go ahead, Dylan. Finish this off.
Well, this is my last Wolves comment. And this will be we can keep a weekly Wolves watch.
Mm-hmm.
I have a new player that's, I think, becoming my new Adama in terms of I'm having a love-hate relationship with them, and at the moment I'm not a big fan of them, and I want to be, and I think he's overhyped right now, and I hope I'm wrong. Pedro Neto does nothing for me right now. He either flops and complains more than Bruno, which is saying
Impossible.
a lot, or he's also just skying every single cross to absolutely no one. So stay tuned for next week on Wolves Watch if I still hate him or we're back to being in love.
Well, let's get a beach vacation or a child in there to rekindle that romance. Michael, 3-1 over Bournemouth. A little scary at the beginning, right? But I'll give the good news of Bournemouth moving forward. Tyler Adams has a home. I think that's key.
Hell yeah. I think they needed that. They need some just, even if it's just depth, like if he's not going to start or whatever. I think he will eventually. But even if it's just depth, that's great. Yeah, it was definitely scary in the beginning just because, if you want to play in that center mid, defensive mid holding spot like Trent does, you can't fucking have terrible touches like that and lose the ball where you did. But I thought the defense, apart from that, was really, really good. I thought Van Dijk was back to kind of his best, him and Konate there. And then when your whole front three get a goal, even if one's a missed pen, which we got maybe start looking at that too, if he needs to be off of pens for a little bit or something. But that's always good. I think the best player on the field for that game, though, was Szoboszlai. I thought he was unreal.
Yeah. Odd little red for McAllister, too. You want to talk about that?
So they appealed it officially, I guess, is what everyone's saying. I don't think it's a red. There's been a number of, ESPN does that, VAR review thing where they have, one of the refs, ex-refs or whatever, do it, and they're it's not a red. The Premier League prides itself on being a league that, lets you tackle and stuff. Again, I think it's probably a clear and obvious thing if we want to talk about it. But either way, I think they're just bad. I think there's going to be so many instances of VAR fucking up every single week that I have to just pick the two worst ones. And this was bad because it was just a straight red for what I've seen in games this week happen. I think I saw it in the Crystal Palace game and somebody got a yellow card. The same thing. But the handball in the United game and then the penalty in the Palace game are just so obviously penalties or so obviously fuck ups that I can't put my energy into this as well.
Yeah, tune in next week for Wolves Love Island and then Michael's VAR Corner, a recurring segment for each. Only other thing I had here, Endo, with the debut.
Hell yeah, dude! My man is just in there getting tackles. I love it.
It's dirty work. Endo
dude,
doing the dirty
he's
work.
crazy. He's crazy.
All right.
I don't want to talk about these games anymore. I want to talk about the other ones.
Okay, Endo 3-1 over Bournemouth. Let's transition into the two that we're going to spend the most time on. But to be fair, I think we're probably going to do this one pretty quickly. Game of the week was City 1, Newcastle 0. The goal coming from Julian Alvarez in the 31st minute. These are obviously City winning it the past 4 out of 5 years or 5 out of 6 years, however you want to slice and dice that, whatever it is, and going for their fourth in a row. They're going to be competing for the title, but I also think that Newcastle, in their minds and in a lot of fans' minds, are also going to be competing again to be in top 4 and in that title setup. I don't normally get to give my take right away, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. It was a different type of domination. Michael and I were texting each other during this. I don't think this City team's going to beat people 4-0 that often, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a lot of 2-0 wins that they're going to have 59 to 65% possession, and that's what this was. I know it's boring. It actually is. I when people say that, I don't disagree with them. City is boring to watch, but you just got to hope that you're watching it during the 4 to 5 moments of brilliance where you get a goal or something cool happens. I will say this, Mateo Kovacic, I have to apologize. I was not familiar with your game. You're very good, and you fit into the system really, really well. And, I mean, Vardiol, however we want to say his name, he's going to be fine. That's all I had.
They kept calling him Guardiola. It was
Pep
pissing
son.
me off. Yeah,
Pep
it was
son.
pissing me off. I agree with you. This was the only thing I wrote down when I was trying to think of like things that I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. If you're a City fan, you can fall asleep right now until the start of February, because that is when it actually matters. I think Pep is dead ass out there fucking around. Like,
He didn't sub anyone.
I think he, huh?
Yeah.
He didn't sub anyone.
Well, I think he just, like, he got Kovacic and was just like, for instance, I think he got Kovacic and was just like, I'm just going to make you, like, have you do shit you've never done before. And then I think you're going to be good at it. And then he got Grealish and he's like, I'm going to make you, like, this passing, build-up, defending winger that you've never done before. And you're good at it. I think he just, especially when he plays, like, Arsenal and Burnley, because it's Company and Arteta, I think he just like seamlessly moves the team around and just beats the shit out of his underlings. And then after that, I think he literally just out there like, well, let's try this game. Let's do a 3-4-3 this game. No, let's do a 5-2-3 this game. And he just doesn't care. And then when February hits and he goes, okay, so we're 3 points back. Let's just win the rest of the games. Let's do what is our best thing and win the rest of the games, and then he just does that. So I don't think you actually have to care until February.
I've said this to you before. He's nuzlocking the Premier League.
He is. I hate that you know that term now. It pisses me off.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's a nerd thing. Michael will explain off rip.
No one cares about that. Really.
I will say this because we're going to transition to Chelsea in a minute. I don't want to hear about the injuries with Chelsea. De Bruyne's out. Stones is out. They're two of our most important people. And then Bernardo isn't going to get to play. I don't want to hear it. The other fun fact before I give it to Dylan to give his 2 cents, we had a guy on the bench named Oscar Bob. That's not a typo. This guy's name's Oscar Bob. So, City, different type of City.
What position does Oscar Bob play?
Oscar Bob is a right winger. And I think that Oscar Bob will probably not make any more bench appearances because we just signed Jeremy Doku today. So, shout out to Oscar.
Poor Oscar.
Brother.
The only thing I wanted to call out is in the chat during this game going on, I don't have the direct quote, but Michael basically was like, Newcastle stinks. I don't think that's fair. Considering
I think we could pump the brakes on Newcastle.
That might be what it was. But pumping the brakes was, I don't disagree in terms of the pumping brakes of, I think everyone outside of the 4 of us saying until someone shows it, we're going to keep taking City. Everybody in the media was somehow taking Newcastle, or even in like betting corners, trying to do double chance or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree on that, but I interpreted that pump the brakes as like, okay, what we saw from Newcastle a week ago was like not what we're really going to see, where I still think Newcastle is a very good team. I think this just proved they aren't ready to compete for anything like top 2 type of scenario at this point. Like they I think it was a good wake-up call for them to realize they have to do a little bit more and actually learn that in those types of games they need to get possession, which I know is very tough to do against City, but if they're going to be in Champions League, there's going to be games where they need to not do what they did, even though I think they still had some opportunities, but it could have also been 3-0 if Haaland actually finished some things, but I don't know. I just don't think, in my mind, I took that as cool. Maybe Vegas will start thinking Newcastle isn't as good as they are because of that, and we'll start getting more plus money on them. That's how I took it. But I don't think Newcastle, I don't think of them any less because of how that game ended up for them on the road.
I just think that everyone was talking about them, people were like, they have a chance to win it all.
That's fair.
After 1 week against a Villa team that had lost Mings during the game, had lost Buendia a week and a half before, and a team that and at home as well at St. James Park, one of the toughest places to play. I think it was a bit of a wow, we're really fucking good if you play this exact scenario against this exact type of team, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, well, go to City and try to not even try to win, try to do something.
That's fair.
And it seemed like they couldn't do much of anything when you stack that City midfield and defense against them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough to gauge an actual take when you're playing City. City's very good. They've won it, X amount of times. I will say this. I think the brakes do need to be pumped on the Thierry Henry Isak comparisons that I have also seen go on.
Oh, I missed those.
And Sandro Tonali will be good. It's his second game, but he also didn't look like he was that impactful. Hot take number 2 for John, though, real quick. Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Wolves are our next 5 games. Then we play Arsenal October 8th. There is a very good chance that we will not give up a goal until October 8th. I actually feel like that could definitely happen.
We're going to beat you 1-0.
True.
Wait, so
no Adama though. Good luck.
Yeah.
But you have to say is it a very good chance, or are you saying you don't think you're going to give up a goal? You won't give up a goal until then.
I think that
one is just a comment, the other one is a hot take.
I think I will pedal back because I am also notoriously known for saying we're not going to lose last year.
I'll say it. They won't give up a goal until October 15th.
I think to parlay that all together is a long shot, but this is the team that has the best opportunity to do it. And then one other thing I'll say too, I think the schedulers did this on purpose because we're going to talk about Chelsea again really soon. City's first 7 games outside of Newcastle, not very hard.
First 10 games are easy as anything, I feel like.
Burnley, Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Wolves. That's 7.
Yeah, who do you have after that?
Arsenal.
And then, then after Arsenal, the next 2 are easy, no?
Brighton.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. The next 7 are Arsenal, Brighton, Man United, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, Villa. So I think a lot of the scheduling for some of these teams is waves in and waves out.
Is ass.
Well, I actually think that's nice. I want to be challenged.
Well, you're going to play every team twice. What are you talking about?
True. So I don't know. Interesting. Hot take number 2, though, might not give up a goal till October 8th. Let's get to hot take number 3, which involves West Ham United and Chelsea. West Ham 3, Chelsea 1. Aguerd in the 7th. Michael? Chukwuemeka?
Yep. Chukwuemeka?
Chukwuemeka.
Wait,
right?
hold on. Actually, I don't know.
We're going to have to say this name. He's decent. I know he's injured right now, but he's decent. He's going to score.
He's injured?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're going to have to say his name, but, good goal on him. Tied it up. Mikel Antonio with a goal in the 53rd, and Paquetá, the no longer Man City soon-to-be player, West Ham for life with that guy at the pen to finish it off in the 90th plus 5th. Big win for West Ham. Chukwuemeka. Big win for West Ham. I'm going to put this early so I can clip it, so I can put it out as soon as this pod's out. Look, hot take number 3.
It's not a hot take.
It's not. It is. If Chelsea do not finish top 4, they are not only the worst run football team in the entire world, they are one of the worst run sporting organizations ever. Ever. That you are. If you do not get top 4, that's like being so gracious too, because the amount of money you've spent, you should be challenging for a title. You have no shot at that. If you're not top 4, you are one of the worst period sporting period organizations period ever period. Done and over.
John, they've only spent $125 million this year though.
Yeah.
And then they've subsequently proactively spent $125 million at the beginning of each year until 9 years later.
Let me pull an Alexi
Which I don't
Lawless
understand how
real
that's
quick.
possible.
Let me pull an Alexi Lawless real quick too. I'll backpedal a little. I know it's early. I'm saying if by the end of this year you're not top 4, this is the worst run organization in soccer. You have no scouts. Your scouting team is the worst scouting team ever. There are high school scouts in Ohio that can do a better job than this. Like this is a laughing stock. This team, it is. I may be an American. Clip it. This is terrible. They're awful.
We don't know shit either.
Yeah, whatever.
This is
Go ahead, Dylan.
this is probably. You guys are probably gonna make fun of me for this comment. They're just buying players. They're not buying a team. Like, sometimes you need to have role players, and no one on the team that they're buying knows how to be a role player. Everyone wants to be the hero, and when you have... There's only one ball, so there's an issue.
My dad says.
I'm just saying. That's why I figured I'd be getting made fun of here. But, like, it's true. They have all these people that were the big fish at small ponds that they're bringing in, that are like, oh, great, well, I'm the man. I'm going to keep doing this here, too. And then they realize that, one, they're not up for it, and two, they just don't gel in any way. And the best thing is, like, Michael sent it. Their next 7 games are very doable, and in about 8 weeks, everyone's going to say that Chelsea has figured it out to then get steamrolled in their next 7 games. So...
Yeah, look, again, I agree with you. And the excuse for Chelsea fans have already started where it is early. They got to play together. They got to get match fitness together. I'll give you that one. I will. Every team has injuries, man. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of that being as soon as Chelsea loses, every Chelsea podcast clips how many injuries they have.
But they bought depth, so injuries shouldn't matter. You know when injuries matter? Is when you have a squad of 15 people and you're Wolverhampton, you're Luton, you're Sheffield, and at that point you're trying to just survive because you literally don't have any depth.
Straight up. This is
that one struck a nerve with me because that is bullshit.
Yeah. This is if you're not top 4 this year, you're the worst run football organization in the world.
If you're a top 6 team and you can spend the money that even us or like even like a Villa, can spend, and you use that money and not invest in depth, it's your own fault. Okay, so like, right, it's not Everton. An injury could derail their season, even though they do kind of spend a lot too at times. But like Fulham, right, they lost Mitrovic not through injury but through going to Saudi Arabia. Their season might be derailed right now from losing one player, okay? But if you look at this, and Polina too, he did get hurt. But he should be back pretty soon, actually. If you look at this team, and I know this is like such a funny thing and like such a Twitter thing to say, how is this team, this bench, and even the injury reserve players, how is this $1 billion?
Exactly.
How have you not comprised a better team with $1 billion?
1,000%. I don't disagree with that take
because
either.
everyone knows that Chelsea will pay the money, so they just up their bids. Like they literally are playing themselves.
Right, but even then, like you can go in and say like $100 million. You can get a lot of people for $100 million.
You know who's worth $100 million? Nicholas Jackson. He's fun as hell to watch. Just don't do that.
Well, so but your best player on the day was Raheem Sterling, who
he looked very good actually.
He did, but he can't score.
Well, I know, but there's no one over there to get any of his crosses either.
Well, they can't score, and they've bought midfielders who everyone's hyping up, and they can't score either. They have no one who can get goals. They're passing the ball around a lot. They're trying to look real pretty. Fucking Gusto, who we were joking around about the Chelsea fans being like, oh my god, he's so good. He did look good, But the problem is you spent so much money on other wingbacks, and you have Reece James, who's your club captain, and Chilwell, who was your club captain for this game. I mean, is he ever going to play? Like, is this guy ever going to play? Mikhail Mudryk is bad. He's terrible. I don't understand how you could have paid the amount of money for that player, and he can't do anything. He can't do anything.
This is a great thought experiment that we're never going to simulate because we all have jobs, and this is our secondary thing to do. I'm not even talking about the De Bruyne Salah class that left Chelsea. Let's go after that. There is a more recent group of players that have left Chelsea. 1,000%. Shout out to Christian Pulisic scoring his first Serie A goal today. There are players more recently that have left Chelsea to make room for these people that A, I think would beat this Chelsea team, and B, I think on transfer market would actually be worth more than this Chelsea team on their abilities and what they've been able to do on the field. This Chelsea team is a joke.
Just look at AC Milan though, because you also have Giroud and Loftus-Cheeks, just see how they do compared to that. That's as close as you could get to just seeing a real life. Hey, let them all play.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And also, we can get to the funny shit too, because when you're chasing this game against, by the way, a 10-man West Ham team, because Aguerd got a red card.
Yep.
Okay, you're chasing the game against 10 fucking players, and you gave up a goal. You got scored on by 10 men before you scored. And the reason you scored is because you brought on Moises Caicedo, who was, and I've said on this podcast, he is very good. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a really good DM. Probably one of the best DMs, young DMs in the world. He had the worst 35, 40 minutes from a debut ever. I mean, it was horrible. He looked terrible. Gave up a penalty. Gave up the ball a bunch. It's funny, haha, especially if you're a Liverpool fan. But dude, it's funny to not Liverpool fans too because of the way Chelsea act in terms of like the transfer market and just how they kind of try to swing their dick around. And then when you fucking come out here and you lose this game, the way that you lose this game, you are gonna get cooked, man.
Yeah.
Like, you were going to get blazed up on the internet.
I can show Todd Bowley how to spend $30 million and still not score. A lot cheaper.
Yeah. Save him some money, Dylan. Go in there. You'd be his Jonah Hill. Look, this is the last thing I'll say, but it's the thing that makes me most, annoyed. There's no fan base in soccer more diluted than Chelsea. They have excuses for every time they lose. And then they get mad when people are like, I'm going to make fun of you for this. Like, oh, don't do that. No, I'm going to do it. You spent $1 billion. I know it's only $125 million on the checkbook, whatever, for the season. You spent $1 billion. You have every excuse in the book after you lose. We're gonna kick you when you're down. That's what it's like being a Big Six club. If you don't want that, don't be a Big Six club because you're not. That's all I'll say. So, this week, we have a lot of great games. Chelsea's actually leading us off. Chelsea and Luton. Here's when the train's going to start going back uphill for them, or however you want to say this. They're going to get a lot of confidence. Chelsea at home against Luton. I got Chelsea. I think this is going to be across the board. Right? Luton.
Chelsea.
Go ahead, Michael. You stuttered. You stuttered.
I've got Chelsea. If this was at Luton, I would maybe go the other way. I'd go for a draw.
Okay.
If it's at Chelsea, I'm telling you what, if they do not win this game, you might as well pack the season in.
Yeah. Yes.
If they don't win this game, I'm going to be even more pissed at Chelsea fans. Can't be giving 3 points away like this.
Yeah, actually, Dylan.
If you don't win this game,
I'll be so pissed.
Game, it's over. Yeah. You might as well forfeit the rest of the year.
It's like the loser leaves town. No, if you don't win this game, don't show up to the internet. Just
you
don't.
You have every motivation. You just lost the game you shouldn't have lost. You aren't playing any kind of European football, so you have all week to prepare for this game. You should want to get your first win of the season at home in front of all your fans against a team that is absolutely 100% beatable easily. Mm-hmm. If you do not win this game, you might as well sell every one of those players and just bring up academy guys.
True. So we all got Chelsea. Luton,
no win.
Luton all-time bad team. Chelsea all-time bad organization. Bournemouth at home against Spurs. It's the Dan Juma Derby. I love it. What do you got?
I got Spurs.
Dylan?
I'm taking Spurs too, but I kind of wanted to take Bournemouth.
I know. I wanted to dabble, but I think it is. I think Spurs. I think Postecoglou's good. I think Ange Ball will be interesting. Ange Ball's good. Arsenal, Fulham. I think we're going to be across the board on this one too. I think all three of us are converts that Fulham's not very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
We mentioned before. Brentford Palace. Dylan, start us off here.
Just because they're at home, I think Brentford take the London derby.
Michael, you as well.
I think Brentford are better, like technically. Maybe they don't have the best technical player. I think Eze is probably the best player, but I think just as a team they're solid.
Yeah, I literally just had this as a draw until milliseconds ago. I was high off the vapors of Crystal Palace chasing that game at the end, and I made a bad decision. So I got Brentford as well.
I mean, you do forget they had like 20% possession until they got up a man.
Yeah,
just
I know.
just throwing that out there.
I know.
I know.
All right. What do we want to call this? It's the Hank Dillon Derby. It's early this season, just like the Tucker Brother Derby.
It's a 6-point special.
Yeah,
it's a 6-point special. It really is. It's at Everton. They're hosting Wolves. Dylan, start us off.
Everton.
Yep, knew that was coming. The old reverse jinx. Great Dylan move. I got Wolves. They should win.
They should win a lot of games. It doesn't normally happen.
I also have Wolves just because if they do win and I get this right, my Everton in 18th looks so good going into the final 35 games of the year.
Very solid. Man United at home against Nottingham Forest, a team that, dude, correct me if I'm wrong, they dropped points to them last year, didn't they? I don't know why I just opened up this can of worms.
I think you're right. I can look for you. Don't worry.
But I got United. They got to win this one. I think this is a very similar thing that I'm raising alarm bells early for United. If you're not getting 3 points against Forest at home, pack it in too. Don't show up to the internet either. Dylan.
If this game was at the City Ground, I think I'd be taking Forest, but I'm gonna take United, saying that I'll even say it's probably gonna be a 1-0, just like against the Wolves.
Yeah, Michael.
As long as it will let me go back on FOTMob, in four previous matches, United have won all of them, and not only that, Forest have not scored a goal. So,
fake news.
I think,
as always.
but I think this is a perfect time. I think this is very losable for United. I do think they will win, but I'm telling you, if they don't figure something out, they don't figure out how to not play one specific way, they're fucked.
Yeah,
a team that plays many ways. Brighton is hosting West Ham. Michael, who you got?
Brighton. I mean, literally, what do we say? Pick them until they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dylan,
Brighton's in the same camp as me with City right now, until they prove otherwise.
Brighton as well. Burnley finally playing. They got a whole week off because of Luton, but they got Aston Villa, who just came off of a 4-1 banger. I got Villa. I think Burnley will be decent. I just don't think it's happening yet. Michael?
This has draw written all over it.
Yep.
But I can't help but to really enjoy watching Villa and really want them to win this game.
So you got Villa.
So I got Villa, yeah.
Dylan?
I'm probably going to throw away a pick, but I had noticed I didn't have any ties this week, so this will be my tie.
Love it. All right. Draw with Burnley and Villa. Sheffield United hosting City. We all got City. I'll skip that one. And then the actual game of the week. Everton Wolves is the heartstring game of the week. This is the big brain game of the week. It's at Newcastle. It is a test for both teams, honestly. Michael, what are your thoughts?
We won both last year against them.
Yeah.
But
the guy that won it for you is not even on the roster anymore.
Yeah, he
One
is.
of them. No, he's out on loan, isn't he?
No, Salah won the game. Yeah. It wasn't Carvalho. Carvalho didn't score the goal, I don't think.
Yeah, it did.
I thought he was just right there. Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, Carvalho
Well,
scored that one.
Oh, shit. Well, Darwin scored the other one, and he's also not playing, it seems like, so I don't know.
Yeah, what's going on there, real quick?
I think it's completely tactical. I don't think he helps with the build-up.
Yeah.
And Gakpo and Jota both can do that, and they can like interchange. So I think because we are thin at midfield right now, we want people that can drop back. I think if we're not going to. Let me be absolutely clear. But if we were to get somebody like Czech Doucouré from Crystal Palace and he started playing there, I think Darwin would play because it would just be so much better. He gets in behind so much better than the other two. I really hope it's not like Klopp doesn't like him, because that would be really fucking devastating. It was Corellia. You're right. Good job. I'm gonna pick Liverpool. This is a draw, or this is a Newcastle win. But I'm not gonna not pick my team. So
yeah, Dylan.
The smart pick is one of those two.
Because they're home, I'm riding early season games. Take the home team when they're both evenly matched. So I'm taking Newcastle.
Yeah, I got Newcastle as well. Sorry, homies. We got some
We
other
are
news.
actually super bad away from home. It's like last year we were. I can't. I'm not gonna pick Newcastle.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'll take
That's
the
all right.
loss.
Yeah. In other news, Michael, you've dabbled in the betting world.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not gonna ever give you a parlay like 5 days before the games are gonna happen.
Why?
Yeah.
I make bets 5 days beforehand, and you think I want to do that?
I guess that's a good point. I could try. Maybe I'll try to do that next week, not this week.
All right,
But
perfect.
hot start, 3 parlays in a row got me up, like to 18 units above where I was, and then I just took 3 losses. But I'm a 1 unit Andy, so
It's all right. We're 500 across the board, because I noticed, Dylan, you are sitting at 4-4. Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right.
I'm early season. We're just feeling out what we really want to be doing.
Absolutely. Give us what you got this week.
You heard me say Brentford at home plus 100. Gonna take them. My money does different things than my heart. I know I just said a tie, but we'll take Villa plus 105. I didn't realize I had that booked as I changed my pick in the other thing, so we're gonna ride with that. And then because it's way too high to take City to not give up a goal, we're gonna take Arsenal to have a clean sheet minus 120, and then we are gonna take our bet of the week in the championship, both teams to score at minus 120, Ipswich versus Leeds.
Love it. All right. Went a little longer than we thought. I think that we were on a good pace, and then we got derailed by some VAR talk and my three hot takes. But we'll do better next week. Dylan, get us out of here with a joke.
All right, boys. Why are scrambled eggs like the Wolves? Because they've both been beaten. Cheers.
The NAFTA podcast.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.